Hello and welcome to this Ashes preview on the eve of the first Test match. Today I've got a very, very special guest, and hopefully throughout this next 5 Test matches, we'll go hammer and tongue, just like England and Australia, and that is the one and only Brad Hogg.
Harmy, how you going, mate? We should call this Harming the Hog, mate, because...
Are you all right, Hoggy?
Yeah, I am right, mate. I can't wait for the Ashes series. Now, let's go back to 2006 and really start this Australia versus England campaign. Now, that first ball you bowled, the wide, what was going through your mind at the top of the mark before you delivered that ball? How nervous were you?
Very nervous. Conversation with Neil Fairbrother a few is the nervous I've ever seen you. And he said, you don't normally suffer from nerves. I think I knew I wasn't prepared. And it's quite poignant because obviously Anderson has not been picked in this Test match because of preparation. I didn't think I was prepared enough because I missed the game in Adelaide the week before. I didn't play much in, I think it was Perth, I think the week before that either. So, but England we had a makeshift side going over there. And it was, well, you're part of the 2005. You've got to play. And I wasn't ready to play. So it's a message to everybody that, yes, nerves are. It's a human element. Nerves are. But if you're not prepared, then things are going to go wrong. I'm in a studio in London here. You're in Perth. There's grey skies above me, and it's about 3.5 degrees. Forecast for Brisbane is going to be grey skies. And with a wicket that I've just seen a picture of, the greenness of the wicket, possibly a little bit of rain around. Is this just falling into a little bit of England's favour?
Yeah, look, well, you've got a lot of seamers in there that like those English conditions as well. And the other thing that we've got to talk about too is the new Kookaburra ball. It's got a harder seam on it that's going to last a lot longer, so that will help the English bowlers as well. They've put 2 bits of lacquer on it, so hopefully there's more swing for a longer in the innings as well, because we really want to challenge the batsmen. We don't want those flat track bullies over here in Australia, and plus there's going to be a little bit of seam movement there. And I know that you won't want to play any of your spinners, but we will want to play Nathan Lyon, because with those sticky wickets, with their little bit of moisture there, there's still a little bit of turn and extra bounce there, and Nathan Lyon can really extract that.
And what about your all-rounder? Is he the key to matching everything up? Because I like this kid, Cameron Green. I think he's a boy. I think the kid can play. If his body a little bit like Andrew Flintoff in his infancy of his career, if his body can hold up, you've got a good one there.
Yeah, definitely. I'd like his body to, his bowling to lift as well, have more overs under his belt. But this is where Australia really could have capitalised. Mitchell Marsh had a great T20 series over there in Dubai. Yes, hasn't had enough Shield cricket under his belt. But if you have 2 all-rounders there in the middle order, one, Mitchell Marsh can take on the bowling and be a game changer, especially with Alex Carey coming in, because Alex Carey is not really a big hitter. But you've got that dynamite batsman in there that can change a game. But you've also got an extra all-rounder there to bowl some overs, which is not going to wear 2 prominent batsmen out there. So they can both bowl 5 over spells as well. So I would have liked to see Mitch Marsh in there instead of Travis Head, especially now that you've got Carey batting as the keeper with that extra left-handed batsman down the order. So it would have been a little bit better balance.
In the captain, I've put a lot of pressure on. We can come on to Tim Payne in a second. I must admit, I thought it was hilarious. I'm sitting watching another captain of Australia crying his eyes out 3 years after the one before was crying his eyes out at a press conference because of ball tampering. Yeah.
Oh, well, it's social media, isn't it? You got to watch what you do these days and watch what picture you put down those channels, because it's always going to come back and bite you in the backside. So, and that's for youngsters out there that are pursuing business or cricket. What you do now sometimes can come back and really cause opportunities to sort of stifle so you can't move forward. So Tim Payne's got a good lesson there. But look, I think Pat Cummins is the right man for the job. But this is where England can really capitalise on, because I've got Mitchell Starc going to open the bowling. There's a lot of talk about Mitchell Starc with his form. If he doesn't produce with the new ball, Pat Cummins comes on first change and has to come on early. All of a sudden, there's a little bit of doubt there. He's thinking about, how do I lift Mitchell Starc? But if you can have an aggressive batsman out the other end and just take a little bit of a risk to see how Pat Cummins would respond, putting pressure on him and trying to make him change the way he bowls, I just think you could create a few cracks there early on in the series.
And we've had, obviously, not a lot of preparation. I mentioned that right at the very start about that first ball in Brisbane. Preparation time was key 10, 15 years ago. I don't think it's as key now with the amount of cricket they play around the world. But here's some footage of the boys in training. They look in good spirits.
Yeah, they do. Look, everyone's sort of over here writing off England, but I don't think you can write them off because yes, you've got Joe Root there, and Australia are definitely going to be attacking him early on because he has changed the way that he bats. He's trying to stand a lot stiller out the crease, out the point of delivery, not move as much. So hopefully the extra pace here can hurry him up and just change his footwork in that regard. But the big one for me is David Malan. Now, he had a reasonable series last time he came out. I think he had 3 50s and 100. So he'll be coming here with confidence, but the way that he bats, just his mannerism, I just think he can stifle the Australian quicks out the top order. I know that you want to bat Stokes out 3, but I think I'd like to see Malan there unless you open with him, because I just think he can bat long periods of time and wear that Australian pace attack down. And this is the importance of that first Test series, first Test match. If you don't get a result, you want to keep the Australian quick bowlers out there as long as possible, because you've got captain of Pat Cummins, so they're not going to rotate him, and they don't want to rotate the other 2 bowlers as well. So you want to put them under pressure, get them to bowl as long as possible, and that slows them down in the next test matches. So this is a strategy that England have got to have. So I think you can have Malan out the top of the order, and Stokes come in and play that Gilchrist role down the bottom. But I know you disagree with me, and I want your thoughts on that one.
My thoughts on Malan at 3, not so much, nothing against Malan. I seem to kick David Malan every time I open my mouth, which is nothing against David Malan, because I like the kid as a player. I think he's a good player. My only reason, and the reason which was in my head of Stokes at 3, is England picked the 16-man squad at the end of September to go and take Australia on, and it was you were never going to play a spinner. There was no Stokes, so you were going to play 6 of the best batsmen, which Pope at 5, best of 6, Butler 7, and then you're going to play 4 seamers, attack when it's needed to be attacked, i.e., new ball, wear Australia down, because the bowlers that England have got, the likes of Broad, Anderson, Wokes, Robinson, now one side of the wicket bowlers, they pack the soft side and play on your patience. Now, I don't see that being too much of a problem in the modern world where batsmen come at the ball. I think it's not a bad plan. I don't think we're going to contemplate playing a spinner, even in Sydney, because I don't think they feel as though, and even in this game, I don't think we'll play Jack Leach, because I think that the spinner's not as good as our 4th seamer. So with that, the plan in September, the only difference is Ben Stokes. Now, Ben Stokes comes into the group, and all of a sudden, on the fielding point of view, and the bowling side of it, he muddies the water a little bit, because his 4th seamer, he'd be the 4th seamer option, is not as good as the 4th seamer that would have played, i.e. a Wokes or a Robinson. And then you have to play the spinner because you don't want to play 5 seam bowlers. So for me, I would have played Ben Stokes, said no bowling, and drip feed his bowling in as the series goes on, and bat him at number 3. And I think what you said there at the start, I would have played Crawley as well, for the simple fact, go at Mitchell Starc. As soon as he offline 4, remember going back to 2005, when you got Trescothick, if anything went offline, Tres belted it for 4. And then all of a sudden, that got us going. That got the momentum going. You're not going at 1.5 and over for 10 overs at the start, seeing off the new ball, the Kookaburra. You're going at 4.5, 5 and over, because the bowler's not on his game. And that, for me, would what Stokes would have done, batting at number 3. So that's my theory on the Stokes thing. But I don't think England will play a spinner in this game. Stokes will only drip feed bowling in when necessary. I think England will play 4 seamers. And the one person that has to play in this Test match, and it's not for anything other than, you mentioned my ball and setting the tone and stuff like that, Stuart Broad against Davey Warner. If Stuart Broad gets David Warner once in this first Test match, all of a sudden, look what happened in the last game. He got him what? He got him 6 times in 5 innings. That, for me, would be, if you can get on top of Warner early, the first Test match, then I think then you've got a little bit of a door opening at the top of the order.
Oh, exactly, and you've got Harris out the other end too, opening the batting that's under a lot of pressure as well. I think he's only averaging 23, might be 29 in Test cricket. So there's a lot of pressure on him. They've backed him up, and there's a lot of talk about Khawaja should have opening in front of Harris, but it's good that they've backed Harris. So that's a very important matchup. And then you get into Labuschagne and Smith. How are you going to bowl to them? I prefer you bowl straighter rather than wider and just play that patience game and try and get them out LBW, because when they're going across that line and you're attacking that leg and middle stump, they have to play square. They can't really play straight down mid-on if you get the lines right. And all of a sudden you can pack that field and you can put a few catches on the leg side, just probably take one slip out, which is unorthodox. And all of a sudden, you've got pressure on those two, which can't score freely as well.
Yeah, and we've got a question from our viewers on the bowling side of it. G Paul, wow, Hoggy Harmy, can you both pick your England bowling attacks for tomorrow? Ooh, it's Broad for me. I can understand why I'm not playing Anderson. Broad, Robinson, Wokes, and Wood. Wood gives you pace. I would say it's a poor man's attack that I come across in Australia in my first series. My first series I played against Gillespie, McGrath, and Bickle, and then Binger came in. Brett Lee came in for the third Test in Perth. And you look at Robinson, he hits an area. I'm not going to compare him in any way, shape, or form to Big Glenn or to Dizzy or anybody like that. But the thing I like about this attack, they've got a bit of height, they've got control, and they can bowl in and around that top of the stump. And Robinson, a little bit like Kyle Jamieson, for a tall man, bowls that little bit fuller. His natural length's that little bit fuller. So I think against Smith and Labuschagne, like you say, if he can get it straight and around off stump, that extra bounce might just suit him. And, Glenn McGrath bowled it. I remember facing Glenn McGrath at Perth, and I'm like, I'll face this guy all day, because the bloke at the other end is bowling rockets. Binger's bowling 95 mile an hour. I've got no interest in facing him whatsoever. Shane Warner's not going to hurt me. He's turning it and make me look stupid. But Glenn McGrath's not going to kill me. It's about 78 mile an hour. I'm not going to hit any of it because it's just too good for me. So I'm quite happy down this end. I think the bowling attack that England have got there is one of pace in Wood, who has got serious pace, and he will hurry the Australian batsman up. And you've got somebody who can swing it, you've got three of them who are different heights, different trajectories, who can attack in and around that off stump, but also, I've got the discipline. So for me, the first Test match, G. Paul, would be Broad, would be Wokes, would be Wood, and would be Robinson. And I think on that surface at Brisbane might be a handful.
Out of all those four bowlers, if you're going to go with four quicks and you've got to bowl for a day and a half, who's going to bowl a majority of overs that has just got that motor in their body to be able to cope with it?
I think the three that you're going to, like I mentioned before, the four bowlers attack, that's going to just be balanced, be disciplined, going to put it one side of the wicket and ask questions. I think they're all durable when it comes to Wokes, Broad, and Robinson. And I think they can ask questions. I think if there's any sort of movement, these three will get the movement going. And I think they'll use Wood like you would with the way Ricky or Steve Waugh used Brett Lee, which would be, right, we need something to happen here. Let's see if there's let's see what the tick is going. I know you're used to it in these sort of surfaces. This kid can bowl, he'll bowl in excess of 93, 94 mile an hour, like what Brett did. And I've seen it wasn't comfortable. It wasn't pleasant when he was bowling that speed, no matter how used to it you are in an Australian wicket. So I think it'll be the three seamers of Wokes, Broad, and Robinson will probably do the bulk of the bowling. But if it does go flat and it does nothing really happening, then I think you'll see Wood release the handbrake. And if they can manage him for 5 Test matches, then they might have a chance. If Archer was there, having 2 England, I think England would have a good. I still think England can take 20 wickets in 5 Test matches. The problem I think England have got is the 1, 2, and 3 in the order.
Well, hopefully they can take more than 20 wickets in 5 Test matches, mate.
No, that was my team. That was my team who struggled to get 20 wickets. I think we only got in Nasser's Test match. I think we only got 3 in that first Test match. Heroes had a day out, and Ricky had a day out.
Yep. Hey, what about Wood having a crack at this, the old baggy green thing, eh?
Yeah. It's something that I don't think we have in our history. We don't use that blue cap as much as what the baggy green means. For some reason, I don't know why. I really don't. Honestly, I don't really know why. But what does that baggy green mean to an Australian? I'll tell you where my caps are. Which you'll have a chuckle at.
Where are they?
Green, what does it mean?
Oh, this baggy green. It means everything to me because where is it? Have I got it here? There's another bat here somewhere, just around the corner. So I've got an old Graham Nichols bat, with the maroon sticker. Dad used to have that. He had it in the 60s, and he played against Derek Randall, Jeff Miller, Ian Botham in a Country 11 game over here. He played against India twice, and I've got it. But I've had that dream since I could crawl. Apparently, my grandparents used to tell me I had a dream of wearing that baggy green. I saw Australia getting smashed by the West Indies. I used to sit up and watch the Australia versus England over in England, and I just wanted to go and play in that Ashes series and play against the West Indies. And I just wanted to save Australia, and that's what it meant to me, that dream. And when I got it, it just had tears. When you strive for something in life, and all of a sudden it's there, and you just think, I didn't think I'd get there, but I had that dream, and you finally got it. It just means everything to you because you've just got the blood, sweat, and tears of everything you've gone through. But I come from the bush here. All the country cricketers down there knew that I wanted to make it, and the work that they put into my cricket behind me, throwing me balls on the sideline while they were playing their games of cricket out in the middle. I was playing men's cricket at the age of 12. They had rules for me that I could play for any team that was short in the bush to make sure they gave me the benefit of it. So it's just not my baggy green. It's my whole country town, my whole cricket association's baggy green, and I'm actually getting a bit emotional about it now. It just means everything because to me, the captain of Australia at one stage was more important than the Australian Prime Minister. So that's how high regard we have it over here in Australia with our cricket team. Not so much now with a bit of sandpaper and the odd photo, but yeah.
I was just about to say, is that what happened with Tim Paine? And on a serious note, the office of Australia captain is so well thought of, so high that you not have to be lily white, but you have to have a certain standard you set. And the two captains I played against were Steve Waugh and Ricky Ponting. Two men of stature.
Yeah, definitely. But if you look back, Ricky had his issues early on as well, but we all learn from that, and we all grow. And that's one thing with everyone's going to get stuck into Steve Smith about his situation. Now, he was the captain at the time, and at that stage, there was a lot of pressure on him, and there was a lot of stuff that was happening off the field through that particular series that he just lost control, and I don't think he was getting any help from the management in that stage to pull these players in. It's just not about the captain. It's about the coaches that are there as well. It's about the hierarchy in Cricket Australia to be able to pull the heads in and players that are not pulling their weight. So Steve Smith was on a hiding to nothing there. The Tim Paine thing had happened before he was named captain. He thought he had sorted it all out, and the woman that was involved didn't want it to come out as well. But it just happened to come out in the media. And full credit to Tim Paine by just saying, look, I've done the wrong thing. It's not the right thing for an Australian captain to be seen in this light. I've done the wrong thing, and I've got to move on. I can't allow this to dampen Australian cricket moving forward. And we had to move to Pat Cummins, who's probably the cleanest skin in the team. And it would have been good to have someone like a Mitch Marsh vice captain with him, because those two are really close mates, get on well, and it can take Australia to a new direction with all that baggage behind them gone. And it's a bit like what you guys are going through, not so much England, but with what's happening out Yorkshire. I just hope that's not affecting the players and we grow from it, we move forward and we sort those issues out because, we've got so many different cultures playing the game and we want to embrace it. We want to grow it. And, it's a privilege for us to be able to travel to these different cultures and learn from them and gain those experiences because it's made me grow as a person just going to India, Sri Lanka. I haven't been to Pakistan yet, to the West Indies and even South Africa. They've just been so big a learning curves and taking me away from what I've been, what I've grown up with what our beliefs are. My beliefs have changed so much because of my touring of cricket.
Mine, Sam, I couldn't agree more and well said. I've just actually mentioned that Yorkshire. I've been on Talks. I'm at actually TalkSport Towers. I'm on TalkSport. I've got a message here off Darren Goff because I've just said what a miss he'll be for TalkSport and what a monumental job he's got on it Yorkshire. And I wish Goffy well, like I said this morning. My caps, but bizarrely, my cap, you get a cap in England, you get a cap for your debut, you get a cap at 25, you get a cap at 50, 75, every 25 test matches. And mine was sitting in the drawer. And I was like, well, the pit in the bottom of the drawer. I play golf 4 times a week. So I got 2 of my caps made into my driver and 3 wood cover. So my cover, the cover for my driver, the cover for my 3 wood are actually the caps I play cricket in. So every day I see my England caps. When people say, oh, what do you do with your caps? They're at the bottom of the drawer or they're on display. I'm like, no, they're with me every day because I go and take them on the course and play golf with them. So that's what my caps meant to me. I love playing cricket for England. And have we got, I'm sure we've got some more questions. I'm sure there's more questions to come in from the floor.
Just as you read that one out, my number plate's baggy 367 with a green number plate on it. My wife got it for me, and I hate driving around the city in it because people, right, look at me. So I had a bit of road rage, and now when someone's in front of me, it's all right. Put my head in. Yeah, how you going? You're driving well.
You've got to drive at the proper speed from now on, or you can't get out anybody's nose. Right, Austin, what you got? Do you think the lack of Test cricket, new captain, etc., will be the biggest weakness of Australia, which England can use to their advantage? I think it is. The captain is there to be got at, in my opinion, from a mental point of view, by putting pressure on some of his teammates, i.e., like you mentioned before, the bowling unit. And I think England's bowlers, if they hit the straps from the very, very start, I think they can put pressure on the middle order. Again, I think it's top order runs, but it's who can get the 2 best batsmen in and out the quickest. Can you get Smith out quickly when the ball's moving? And can you get Root out quickly when the ball's moving? I think them are the keys to the series for me.
Yeah, well, how you going, Austin? Dakuna, good to see you again, mate, and good to see you supporting Harmy as well. For me, I reckon the big contest, you've got Broad and Warner, but you've also got the 2 captains at each other because Cummins has got a pretty good record against Joe Root. So, yes, you attack the Australian captain, but if Root can get on top of Cummins, all of a sudden there's a change in dynamic there. There's so many little games amongst the big games in this Test series that are going to be very interesting to watch. But for me, I reckon Robinson's going to be the kingpin against Steve Smith and Labuschagne. I like his attitude. He said something in the media. I can't quite remember what it was just recently, but he's one that wants to be in a dogfight, and I'd love to play alongside him. It just seems like he's got a lot of ticker about him, and nothing's going to faze him. And I think those are the type of kids that you want in your team, and just let them be free, and just make sure that they are focused on what they want to achieve on a bowling sense out in the middle with their game plans, and make sure they're executing it. And when they're not executing it and they're just going through a little bit of a rough phase, just try and talk to them and get them in that confidence, that plan A. We had a psychologist back in 2000, through the 2000s, and he always said plan A and plan Z. The plan Z was when you're in your negative phase, and you're always on the back foot and you're never going to do well because you're always downing yourself. plan A was when you were doing the things that you always did when you were doing well. So for me, it was running in, grabbing my cap or passing my cap to my bowler, to the umpire, marking my run up as quick as I can to get into that first ball. Yeah. When I wasn't, and I was in my plan Z, I'd be walking to the umpire, hammer cup in, and I'd mark my run up slowly because I was doubting myself. So it's getting yourself in it and faking it till you make it, being in that positive attitude.
Yeah, I agree with Robinson. He seems a lad, I don't really know the kid, but he seems a lad that's the perfect fast bowler. Not got many brain cells in there. If there was, not enough to blow his cap off. But he bowls at fuller length. And I think that fuller length for a tall bowler in Australia could be key, especially against against Labuschagne and Smith. Was naming Smith, Steve, was Smith the vice captain a bad call? Oh my God. I don't think it was a bad call. I would like to have seen him be the captain because I thought he was the correct man from a leadership point of view because he's led before and he understands. And what you mentioned about Pat Cummins, but from one scandal to another scandal, I thought it was very, very hard to name Steve Smith.
Yeah, I think they're in their right to give him the vice captaincy role. The issue that happened is 3 years ago, nearly 4 years ago now. He's paid his penance. He did a harsh crime of over a year, and been out of the game for a year. That's a tough penalty when he's only got two games from the ICC when that issue came out. So for me, I thought Cricket Australia were very hard on him, and I just felt that management from Cricket Australia took the soft course and didn't take responsibility for their actions as well. As I said earlier on in the show, when the issues were happening with de Kock in that first Test match, they should have pulled Australia in and said, "This is not the way that we want to go our business." Rather than blaming what was happening with South Africa, we should have been in our own rooms looking after our own backyard and making sure the grass is greener on our fence rather than South Africa's fence, and pull everyone in and just say, right, we've got to play this fairly. We can't have players dropping the ball on a bloke like AB de Villiers when you run him out. You can't be sledging while you're walking off the field in front of kids. So for me, I just think it wasn't Steve Smith's fault. It was a collective group, and I think Steve Smith has paid the price for it, and I think it's good that he should be named vice captain. And you look at David Warner. Yes, he was big in that situation, but I look at the way that he's captain IPL teams and stuff like that. I think he should be allowed to captain BBL teams moving forward. Take him out of a leadership role when he's got so much experience, so much knowledge. One of the best brains in the game, you're losing so much in the development of young kids coming through. He's paid his price. He's paid his penance.
Yeah, 100%. I've always said this. I came across a young Davey Warner. I think Davey was 18, 19 when he came to Durham for 2020. So I've always had a soft spot for him. I don't like the new David Warner, I must admit. I want the Jack Russell back. I want that one that's close to the line, a bit like Virat Kohli. I want him to be in your face because I think that's what makes him better. But I'm with you. I think the call of Steve Smith being vice captain, I wouldn't have had a problem being captain, but I'm not Australian. I think we've got and apologies for not saying the name of our last question now. I just don't want to be disrespectful in pronouncing it.
I'll give it a go. What is it? Vignesh Warren?
Vignesh Warren, is it? Yeah. So thank you very much, Vignesh Warren. I hope I pronounced your name right. Apologies if I haven't. I think we've got one more. If we haven't got one more, Harry's got one. Is naming the play 11 3 days early a bold move or a daft one? To be honest, I didn't. I'll be honest with you. You could have named that a week ago, 2 weeks ago. I think there was only one question mark, and that was Heather Khawaja. I think England knew the Australian side in September when they picked their squad.
Yeah, I just think they wanted to show the world that they're fully confident with the team that they've picked and the squad that they've picked, and they just wanted to give the confidence of those, especially Head and Harris, rather than naming it on the day where there's going to be a lot of attention. Why have you picked ahead of Khawaja? Why have you picked Harris as the opening batsman? You've given it a period of time for them to settle into that role, knowing that they're going to play in that test match. I think Bailey came out and was asked, why did you pick Head against Khawaja? And it's only because of age. So Head's got longevity in the game, whereas Khawaja's closer to the end of his career, which I think is pretty tough on Khawaja. I still think he's got 2 or 3 years left out international cricket. And I think he's one player that's probably been harshly done by here in Australia. But in saying that, he probably has let himself down in a fitness side of things, because we do have expectations of fitness levels to play for Australia. And if you have one little thing that is not ticked off or ticked on the box and you let someone get away with it, then it takes the standard down for the rest of the group moving forward. So you don't want those little negatives creeping into your culture.
And a quick prediction, Hoggy, first test match, where's the series going? Is it largely down to whoever wins the first test match is going to win the Ashes?
No, because I think Australia are definitely going to have the advantage up there in Queensland, because we've got a bit of extra pace and we will have a frontline spinner in the game. So I think he can do some damage. I think Australia are favourites up there, but now that we're not playing in Perth and we might have 2 day-night test matches, and you'll be able to have Anderson prepared for those particular matches, and then you'll be able to rest Wood in those occasions, or maybe another bowler. I think it's going to be a lot closer than we think. I think it's going to be a 3-2. I don't think we'll have any draws in this particular series. I think both teams are going to go out for victory.
Yeah, I think the toss is crucial in both games for me. I think England have got a great chance in Queensland if they win the toss and there is a bit of cloud cover. I think the only thing that's going to stop a result in the first test match, look at the surface, is the rain. But if there's not going to be as much, I'm going to back my boys, England, to come out on top, go 1-0 up and put pressure on Australia to win the toss or to come back strong in Adelaide.
Yeah, and I'll just remind the viewers, we've got a slightly new kookaburra. They've changed it. The seam, they've made it so the seam stays harder for a lot longer, so there'll be a bit more movement, and they've double lacquered it as well, so we should get swing for a lot longer, and that's why Harmy's saying that England have got a better advantage up there in Queensland right now, because that ball is similar to what we have in England with that Duke ball. So it's going to be close, but I'm going for Australia, the old baggy green. Here we go, the old baggy green.
Well, we've agreed to disagree on a bit, Matt. I appreciate your time on the preview show. I can't wait to repay the favour. Come on your channel and talk some nonsense about what the great game we love. Hoggy, thank you very much. It's much appreciated, Matt.
Yeah, I'll just go back. I don't know whether anyone can see it, but there's a speeding fine. That's the baggy 367 on the back there. I'm a naughty boy. I got a lead foot.
Naughty boy, you've got to adhere to the rules. I can't say anything. I think I've got about 9 points on my. I've got more points on my license than Newcastle United have got this season so far. So remember, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a review, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.